Everyone, welcome to HOA Fight Club. I'm Raylene Schifano. I just want to quickly update you on some things that I've been working on. I know it's been a while since I've been on and super busy, have lots of cases, helping a lot of people at the same time. So if there is something that you have asked me or emailed me or whatever, please remind me if I haven't replied. There is a lot of people contacting me every day. And this is, not an easy position to be in because, you're trying to help everyone and it's really overwhelming. But I do have a lot of people that are asking if they can help me out. And so hopefully I can get some people to volunteer to do some things for homeowners. A big part of my job is to do a lot of the research. It's really important to know the history of an association. Meetings matter, meeting minutes, what has been decided in the past to see a history of an association. And I think it's really important that homeowners are educated. I do have some issues that I've been dealing with. A few of them, of course, fines and fees have been coming up lately again. It is the end of the year, and that's when people start pushing things to get people into compliance or start foreclosure and things like that because they're trying to do their year-end books. So that pressure is going to be ramped up. I think that everybody needs to pay their assessments. There's no reason not to pay your assessments. You agreed to pay those assessments. If those assessments consist of fines and fees, then I suggest you contest those. Uh, do what you can to solve those. Don't ignore those. The right to be heard is very important. If you have been fined and you are past due, please ask for a hearing with your board so that you can get things under control. Letting things go past due is not going to help you out at all. And we need to make sure that we come into compliance. Everybody should be into compliance, and that includes the board. Which brings me to elections are coming up. So we have elections every year usually happen most years or between June and September. Not a lot happen in January because you want to have your board in place before you do budgets and things like that. So, but elections are coming up. If you haven't received a notice, you don't know when your elections are supposed to be, please ask and look at your governing documents. Ask for those notices. Make sure they're coming to you. Make sure you're on the mailing list. Make sure that if electronic communications are available, that you are on it and that you have the right to have those notices. Check your state laws to see what are required for those notices and your governing documents because they're really important. And it's important to attend those meetings. You do have the right to be heard in most states. So stand up and give your opinion to the members of whether you think it's running good or bad. You don't always have to be there to complain. You can be there to say, yay, things are good and I love how things are running and the board's doing a great job. Or you can go there and tell them what your opinion is on how things are being run. Elections do matter, and these are the people that represent you. They are your municipality. I believe that these elections should be ran fairly and should be ran like the legislators' elections. We elect our state government in a very positive manner by having ballots and people checking those ballots and making sure they're valid and these people can't even take our home. So if this little municipality, our HOA, is in charge of our biggest investments, it's our, portfolio, they want to be portfolio managers as property managers, but they don't understand how important that these elections are. We need to know what decisions are being made in meetings, and we need to hold those people accountable for the decisions they're making. And if they make elections impossible by having you have to have a 50% quorum to vote out a board or vote a board. There's things that, it's not fair. We have certain things when we vote, and we need to really implement those in the fair election process. So we can go into that details later, but I just think that elections are really important and for you to pay attention to elections so that you can go. Another thing that's been coming up, the foreclosure group of Washington State has been discussing that the investors are buying up the property. Well, we know what the issue is for the investors, and I will be giving the government a little bit more information. I call it the insider trader. So you're insider trading because the property manager over that property knows exactly who's in distress. They know how to put a person further in distress by adding fines and fees. They can do this faster and quicker than any other process out there. So the homeowners really need to know and alert their legislators that it is not fair to take a home for fines and fees. And I really am stressing this because because I think that the investors know what to do. They know how to force you into foreclosure, and they're doing it. They're putting people into foreclosure, and they're out of their homes so quickly. And then these investors know which properties are up for bid, and they go in and they bid on them at a sheriff sale because they know what the association is going to bid, and they can outbid the association. And it's just too much power for a property manager to be. I know one property manager that he owns the property management company, and he buys the HOA condo association properties, especially in a condo association. He buys those properties, he swoops in and gets them, and then he puts his people, the property managers, on the board serving for him, representing him, as they're also the property management company managing the property. So he's got two people working for him on the board, one board member and the property manager, and they always agree. So it's really, really difficult when these investors control a property, and the HOA and condo associations are prime for this. It is so easy to take a condo with just a fine or a fee, because all I have to do is accuse you. There's no due process. And if you do have the right to be heard, it's not like you're being given notice. You're not being demanded to go to court. You get a speeding ticket, they demand you come to court on this day if you get this ticket. Otherwise, you have to pay for it, and they put a warrant out for your arrest if you don't pay for it. But they don't take your home. So that's my biggest issue. And the issue of, if you do have a bad neighbor, what if you do have a bad neighbor and this neighbor has a washing machine in their front yard and won't take that washing machine out, and you can put a lien on them, and but they can't foreclose. They're saying that, that how do you ever bring them into compliance? And I don't know what the answers are. That I just know that it is cruel and unusual punishment to take a home because somebody's grass was too long, or they had a car that, was parked on the street too long, or the garage door was up. That is a little insane to me. And I think we need simpler solutions. Which is why we're trying to get into the mediation program in our state, and ADR, and required things, and to be proactive instead of reactive. We have to stop. Our legislators are watching this happen. We have to stop this. We've given them notice. We've told the legislators this is an issue and this is what needs to be fixed, and we're working on reasonable solutions. I know there's never going to be, the condo associations are never going to go away. They share walls. Now, HOAs, they could possibly go away, but condo associations can. If you have common property, you can't get rid of it because you have to have an ownership agreement. But it is just an ownership agreement, and there can be ways of doing it without taking homes because of these little issues. A board member can create issues. They can create problems for the homeowners, and they can be actually the nuisance to the association by spending money on high attorney fees and trying to collect for grass not being, mowed in time, or a garbage can that's being out. Having attorneys sue for those kind of assessments and those kind of payments and those kind of collections, that to me is hurting the association. It is not doing what's best for all. What is best for all is bringing people into compliance. So let's bring people into compliance in an easier manner, and hopefully it works out for better. And hopefully mediation, I think bringing people to the table really helps, especially in these associations. These are your neighbors, and you do not want to be at war with your neighbors. You want to have some sort of working together relationship, because you are members of the same corporation and you should be working together. I think that being educated, on what you're a member of, because most people don't know what they're a member of. And we always say uneducated board members, but, we wouldn't allow these uneducated board members to volunteer on some things and then not do what they're supposed to do. And I think we have the property managers and attorneys. Washington State doesn't have licensed property managers, and community managers do not have to be licensed in Washington State. And they want to be called portfolio managers. I've mentioned that before, but that's the industry's definition of what they want to be. They think they should be paid more because they're portfolio managers. But I would love to see the portfolios. Now, I know there are some, but I would love to see how many of these portfolios, if you actually did a good study. These reserve studies are a joke. If you actually did a study on the property and what it was worth, and what the association, and how many went into foreclosure, and how many liens were on this, and if you do that, it really decreases that property value. If you've got tons of liens and you've got tons of fines and fees, but those things aren't disclosed. They don't disclose those who's got fines and fees on them prior to you purchasing in that program. Maybe that's something we should have disclosed in the resale certs, is how many many fines and fees have been assessed in the last 5 years to homeowners, and what the amount of money they collected from those fines and fees, and how many people they have foreclosed on in the past 5 years. A list of housing that they have foreclosed on because they had past due assessments. I'd love to see that statistic, having those totals, because you don't see those, because usually they don't report those the way it's supposed to be done. It's the actual mortgage that ends up foreclosing in the long run, so it never shows as a foreclosure. It'll just show as a sheriff's sale. So there's just a lot of things that they can hide with HOA and condo associations. I am strongly working for legislation to protect homeowners. HOA United is the lobbying that I do with HOA United, and I am trying to come up with reasonable solutions. I don't always agree with everything, because I want to fight for homeowners. I want you to stay in your homes. I think that we as homeowners have to do our best to be the best neighbor we can be, so that if we're going to be in these associations, that is a demand. But we also need to hold everybody else responsible for giving notice to our legislators and then them not taking actions. But you have to get involved. You can't just sit back and complain in a private Facebook group or on another platform. You have to get involved. You have to call your legislators. You have to email them. The one thing that HOA United has is Steve Hovarth, who is a tech genius, and he makes my life a ton easier just by his knowledge of the laws and where they're written and how they're written. Not that we agree with the laws, but we have to find reasonable solutions that we can get pushed in, because we are being blocked by the legislators and the industry. The industry has a firm grip on this group of people, and they think they're the experts. And what we're finding is that they're not the only experts out there. There are those of us that have become experts because of our experiences. We lived in these associations. We currently live in these associations. Some of these people have never even lived in an HOA, and they're writing laws for people. So think about that when you're asking your legislator who's never lived in an HOA or had an issue with their association, that all matters, because if you've never been in the HOA fight, then you do not understand how you can lose your rights, your constitutional rights to free speech. Now, I agree. We agree to these documents, but we have rights that shouldn't be compromised by a private covenant or contract. There are things that we should be able to do, whether we like it or not. It's really hard, because if we believe in free speech, we have to believe in all free speech, and it's a balance, and I don't know who decides all of that, and it's all very opinionated. But we shouldn't have boards that are uneducated volunteers making major decisions to foreclose on homes because of fines and fees. That is their opinion, and I think that there should be some sort of process that has oversight over those opinions before we take somebody's home under that guise of that opinion. The attorneys are not stepping in, they're not doing an investigation, and they do not care about you. Those attorneys want to foreclose as fast as they can. Well, not even as fast as they can. They like to run up the tab. So they want to foreclose on you, though, have you in collections, because that's where they make the most money. I mean, they make a lot of money. If you ever are interested, do a FOIA request for the HAF fund, the Homeowners Assistance Fund, for your state. Every state had one, and see how many people were in foreclosure and how much of that was for attorney fees. I know that Washington State and Nevada both had very high HAF fund fees, and a lot of those fees were attorney fees. Think of the homes we could have saved if we didn't have to pay for those attorney fees, and we had some sort of other reasonable solution that didn't put the association or the homeowner in debt for those kind of attorney fees. All right, you guys, I'll see you on the next one.